Hello, everyone. A couple of things real quick. First, the book we're going to be talking about today is going to show you just how awful grief and loss can be. And sometimes it can turn you into a monster whether you want it to or not. And we're going to talk about all that in a minute. But first, I want to say that my book of short horror stories, The Things That Happen at Night, is now available for purchase for only $3. And you can pick that up at the link in the description below. I hope you do, and I hope you enjoy it. And the last thing I want to say before we get on with the video is that, no, I am not missing an arm. And yes, my shirt is on crooked. If you don't know, I live here in Cambodia, and a couple days ago, I actually got struck by a moving truck while I was walking, and I believe my shoulder may have been dislocated. So it is in a sling underneath the shirt, but I didn't want to show you my pasty old man boobs. So it might look a little funny, but still this book is great, and we're going to talk about all that right now. All right, so the book we're going to be talking about today is called 5 by David Sullivan. And if you're one of these people who love romance, along with the horrific stuff, and the killing, and the bloodshed, this book is going to be right up your alley. It concerns two men, Devin and Connor, and they couldn't really be from couldn't be from different backgrounds more. When Devin came out to his parents, they did not accept it well at all. They're constantly berating him. They toss out homophobic slurs toward him. Even though he's making most of the money in the house, they treat him like a piece of dirt because of the way he was born. And he has a little brother who's his life. His little brother is the only reason why he still stays at the house. But when his little brother unfortunately dies of leukemia, him and his parents have a big blowout, and he decides he's out of there. He's going to grab what he can, whatever little money he's got, and he is leaving for good. He winds up going to a hotel room where he attempts to commit suicide, unfortunately. And that part of the book really hit home because even in the year 2022, people are still finding it hard to accept when people come out. And even as a straight white man, I don't understand that. Just let people be who they are. So this book really had an air of truthfulness to it that I really enjoyed right from the beginning. But luckily, he decides he can't go through with it. He has some scars on his wrist from his attempt, but he just can't do it. But he is depressed. He is lonely. He doesn't know where he's going or what he's going to do. So he just decides to leave the hotel room, clean himself up, and go to a bar. A decision that I always say is a good idea. Go to a bar. But there he meets the love of his life, Connor. Now, Connor's family, very accepting. Doesn't think it's weird at all. Doesn't think anything bad that Connor is gay. Everything is cool. And they kind of get to talk in there in this bar. And even though it's apparent that they're very different, it was like love at first sight, love at first conversation. Because they saw something in each other that they were both looking for. That they could support each other and love each other. And they would have each other's backs no matter what. So they begin their relationship in not quite the best way, but it's one that quickly grows. And the bonds are very, very strong. They decide to spend the summer at a Christian summer camp, of all places. Connor's going to be a maintenance worker. Devin's going to be a cook and work in the kitchen. And that's where the scary stuff happens, because the woods that this camp is in are cursed by something. And I refuse to give too much away, because the second half of this book has twists, it has turns, and things are revealed that really changes the whole narrative of what you thought was going on up to that point. And I really appreciate it when a book does that. But they go to this Christian summer camp for work, And everybody there is very accepting of them. They just consider themselves one big happy family. They accept people for who they are. And they meet a lot of new friends. We meet a lot of new characters. And however, the woods and the area and the lake surrounding this camp has a very, very dark past, a very dark history, with another couple of love-struck people, and tragedy has befallen them in that area. And the grief that this produced causes one of them not to go into the afterlife. They can't let go of their significant other. They can't let go of the one thing they loved that was tragically and horrifically taken away from them. And when you get to that part of the story and hear the backstory of how this all happened, yeah, it's pretty horrifying what happened. But again, it's something that you're going to read about a certain character and you're going to say, oh man, I know people like that. It's pretty sick and pretty twisted, the way some people think. And the author does a great job of expressing that. As far as the twists and turns go, I'd like to say more, because I want to let you know that you should purchase this book. It's a great book. I love this book. It's fantastic. But then again, I don't want to give too much away, because part of the fun for me was when we got to that back end of the book. And when I found out the backstory about these lovers from the past, and when you find out what happened in that camp in the year 1991, which was like the only year it shut down for the year, yeah, things get really creepy. Things get very horrifying very, very fast. But then when we meet some characters, as I said, when they first come to the camp, and even though they might seem like secondary characters at first and just people there to make the story go forward, you're going to find out that some of them have a lot more to do with this story than what you originally thought. So if anything, I would tell you to pay very close attention when you're reading this book. And not everybody likes a lot of romance and love stuff in their books, but trust me, it's also filled with enough blood and enough gore and enough horror to satisfy your needs. And I don't mind romance in books at all, especially if it fits the whole theme of the book. And the tagline for this, I believe, is 5, A Tale of Loss. And that's the main theme of this book, how love can be grand, love can be great, love can help heal you, but on the other hand, when you lose that significant other, when you lose a parent, when you lose a child, when you lose someone you truly love, disastrous things can happen. That grief and that loss can overtake you in ways that you wouldn't imagine. And as we find out in this book, that can happen even after your death. And it could turn you into a literal monster. But some of the ways that this monster dispatches, and not everybody's going to make it in this book. I should tell you that right away. The author, he lets you know at certain parts of the book that some people aren't going to make it. And you might think, well, why would he give that away? But once you read the book, you'll understand. It's not a matter of if they're going to make it. It's a matter of, oh man, how horrible is this death going to be? Because we're reading about these characters, we're interacting with them, we're loving them, we're rooting for them, and knowing that they're probably going to die horribly, then you're just waiting for it with bated breath. And then when it happens, it makes it even more terrible, I think. At least it did for me. But this book has a lot of love in it. It has a lot of heart. It really deals with the subjects that it includes brilliantly, I think. And I could not have enjoyed this book more. So be sure to pick up a copy of 5 by David Sullivan. And you can do so at the Amazon link down below. Also down below, I'll leave a link to my book, The Things That Happen at Night, my collection of short horror stories for $3. Buy it, and I hope you like it. And also down below is my social media. Join me on Twitter and Instagram if you will have me. I would love to have you. And as always, thank you for taking some of your time, spending it here with me. I really appreciate you guys watching. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.